Every month you go to work. You give your time. You give your energy. You give the best hours of your day. And at the end of the month you count what is left. Sometimes it is very little. Sometimes it is nothing. And a quiet thought appears. If only I earned more. If only the salary was higher. If only there was more coming in, everything would finally change. But here is something that modern finance rarely teaches. The problem is almost never how much is coming in. The problem is how much is silently leaking out. In Japan, there is a word for the feeling you get when something useful is wasted. When food is thrown away uneaten. When money is spent without thought. When a life is lived without intention, the Japanese call this feeling mati. And this single word, this one quiet emotion has helped generations of ordinary Japanese families build more wealth with almost nothing than most people build with everything. Today I want to tell you their story. Chapter 1. The Woman with the Empty Jar. Her name was Ko. She was 53 years old. She lived in a small house in rural Japan. She had never held a high-paying job. Her husband worked as a factory worker for 30 years. Their combined income was modest by any measure. They never had more than enough. Sometimes they had less. Yet, when Ko's children grew up and left home, they discovered something they had not expected. Their mother had savings. Not a little, a significant amount, built quietly, steadily. Over decades, her daughter, who worked in Tokyo and earned 3 times what her parents had ever made together, had almost nothing saved. How? The daughter had asked this question many times. How did you do it with so little? Ko smiled. She pointed to a small ceramic jar on the kitchen shelf. Every week, she said. I ask myself one question before I spend money on anything. Will I regret throwing this away? And if the answer is yes, I do not buy it. Because what I cannot bear to waste, I will never buy without reason. This was Mottainai. Not a budget, not a spreadsheet, not a financial system with rules and percentages. Just one question, one feeling, one ancient Japanese understanding that waste is not just physical. Waste is financial. Waste is time. Waste is the quiet daily erosion of a future you could have built. Ko had never read a finance book. She had never attended a seminar. She had simply inherited a philosophy from her mother who had inherited it from hers. A philosophy born in a country where resources were scarce and waste was not just foolish. It was disrespectful to the effort it took to earn the money to the people who had less, to the future version of yourself who would need what you so casually threw away today. Mottainai is not about suffering. It is not about denying yourself. It is about seeing clearly, seeing what you have, understanding its value, and refusing to let it disappear into nothing. Chapter 2. What waste actually costs you. Imagine a small crack in the wall of a dam. On the first day, it seems harmless. A thin line, barely visible. No one is alarmed. No one moves to fix it, but water finds every opening. Every day, the crack grows slightly wider. Every week, a little more water escapes slowly, silently, without drama, until one day, the dam is no longer holding what it once held. And the loss feels sudden, even though it was happening all along. This is how financial waste works in modern life. Not one catastrophic mistake. Hundreds of tiny ones. A subscription running that you forgot you had. A meal bought out of habit, not hunger. A product purchased because it was on sale, not because it was needed. An upgrade made because the old thing still worked, but the new thing looked better. None of these feel significant in isolation. Together they are the crack in the dam. Research consistently shows that most people are not financially struggling because their income is too low. They are struggling because their spending has tiny leaks in almost every direction. The average person loses between 15 and 30% of their monthly income to spending they cannot fully account for. Not to rent, not to food, not to anything they would point to proudly, to convenience, to impulse, to the vague, restless feeling that something is missing and maybe this purchase will fill it. The Mottainai philosophy does not attack your big expenses. It illuminates your invisible ones because the invisible ones are almost always the ones that matter most. When Ko looked at a purchase, she did not ask whether she could afford it. She asked whether it was worth the effort that earned it. Her husband had spent 8 hours at the factory for that money, 8 hours of his body, 8 hours of his life. Was this purchase worth 8 hours of his life? That question changes everything because money is not just money. Money is converted time. Money is converted effort. Money is the physical record of hours you will never get back. And when you see it that way, truly see it, waste becomes almost impossible to justify. Chapter 3. The 4 Pillars of Mottainai. The Mottainai philosophy is built on 4 pillars. 4 words in Japanese that have guided families through poverty, war, scarcity, and modern abundance alike. They are simple. They are ancient. And applied to your finances today, they are more powerful than any budgeting app you will ever download. The first pillar is reduce before anything enters your life. Question whether it needs to, not after you own it, before. Japanese families have practiced this for centuries by asking one question before any purchase. Do I genuinely need this or do I only want it right now? The gap between need and right now is where most financial damage happens. Need is durable. Right now is temporary, and temporary purchases paid for with permanent money always leave the buyer slightly poorer and often slightly emptier than before. The second pillar is reuse. Before something is discarded, question whether it still has life. This goes far beyond physical objects. It applies to money itself. Every time money passes through your hands without being put to work, it has been discarded. Money that sits in a current account earning nothing. Money that was spent on something that no longer serves you. Money that was given away to a subscription you forgot you had. The Mottainai principle asks you to reuse your money. To give every rupee, every peso, every taka a destination before it arrives. To decide in advance where it will go so it does not simply disappear into the noise of daily living. The third pillar is recycle. In financial terms, recycling means redirecting. When an expense ends, a debt paid off, a subscription canceled, a habit broken, the Mottainai thinker does not allow that freed money to be absorbed into new spending. They redirect it, into savings, into investment, into the future version of themselves that will one day need it. Most people experience a brief moment of financial freedom when an expense disappears and then almost automatically a new expense appears to fill the space. The Mottainai principle interrupts that automatic response. It says you freed something valuable. Do not waste what you just recovered. The fourth pillar is respect. This is the deepest and most important pillar. Respect for the effort behind every coin. Respect for the sacrifice represented by every hour worked. Respect for the future self who will inherit the decisions of the present self. When you respect your money, truly respect it, careless spending becomes uncomfortable. Not because you have imposed a rule, but because something in you understands that this money means something. It was earned. It was worked for. It deserves better than to disappear without purpose. These 4 pillars are not restrictions. They are a way of seeing. And once you begin to see your money through the lens of Mottainai, you cannot unsee it. Chapter 4. The Invisible Savings. There is a phrase in Japan, mari karatoku. It means it would be wasteful to throw this away. So I will keep it. For generations, Japanese households kept a practice called kechiku. Careful accumulation, not dramatic saving. Not extreme sacrifice, just the quiet daily refusal to let anything valuable disappear without purpose. Consider what this looks like in practice. A Japanese family cancels a subscription they use twice a month. Small saving. Almost invisible. They stop buying lunch outside 3 days a week. Small saving. Almost invisible. They repair a household item instead of replacing it. Small saving. Almost invisible. They choose the modest option instead of the upgraded one when the modest option serves them equally well. Small saving, almost invisible. Now add those invisible savings together across 12 months, across 5 years, across a working lifetime. The invisible savings become something extraordinary. Not because any single decision was heroic, because they were consistent. This is the truth that modern financial culture refuses to celebrate because it cannot be packaged. It cannot be sold. It does not require a product or a service or a subscription. It only requires a shift in how you see the money that already passes through your hands. Most people are waiting for their income to change. The Mottainai philosophy says the money you need is already there. You are simply not keeping enough of it. Every day you practice Mottainai. Money that was previously leaking quietly out of your life begins to stay. Not dramatically, not all at once. Drop by drop until one day you look at what has accumulated and you understand what understood. Wealth is not built from what you earn. It is built from what you do not waste. Chapter 5. The 3 Mottainai Money Rules. Mottainai is not just a feeling. It is a practice. And like all practices, it becomes powerful when it is applied consistently through specific habits. Here are 3 rules you can start this week. Rule 1, the waste audit. This week, take 20 minutes. Write down every purchase you made last month. Every single one. Then beside each purchase, write one honest word. Either needed or wasted. Do not judge. Do not feel shame. Just write honestly. Needed means this purchase genuinely served your life. Wasted means you could have lived equally well without it. Total the wasted column. Most people are shocked by the number they see, not because they are careless people, because they have never looked before. Looking changes behavior. It does not require willpower. It does not require discipline. It only requires awareness. And awareness once created cannot be undone. Rule 2, the 1-week pause. Before any purchase that is not food, transport, or a bill, wait 1 week. Not forever. 1 week. Write the item down. Set a reminder for 7 days later. When the reminder arrives, ask yourself, do I still want this? Do I want it as much as I wanted it 7 days ago? In most cases, the answer will be no, not because the item was bad, because the impulse that created the want has passed. Impulses are not decisions. They are temporary feelings dressed as decisions. The 1-week pause separates the two. And most impulse spending collapses when given 7 days to explain itself. Rule 3, the freed money rule. Every time an expense disappears from your life, a debt paid off, a subscription canceled, a habit changed, that money must go somewhere immediately. Name it before it arrives. Savings account, emergency fund, investment, anywhere that is not simply absorbed into new spending. The moment money is freed, it is in its most dangerous state. Because the brain immediately begins searching for somewhere to send it. If you have not already decided where it goes, it will disappear into convenient spending within days. Name the destination first, then let the money travel there automatically. This single habit, the freed money rule, compounds quietly over years into something that will change your financial life more than any salary increase ever could. Chapter 6. What knew? Ko's daughter eventually understood. Not immediately. It took years of her own financial struggle before she sat down and truly listened. Her mother had not built wealth through sacrifice. She had built it through awareness. She had simply refused to let her family's effort disappear without meaning. Every coin that came into the house was respected. Every purchase was considered. Every expense that ended was redirected rather than replaced. It was not dramatic. It was not difficult. It was simply a way of living that said this matters. What we have matters. What we worked for matters, and what we choose to do with it matters more than any raise, any promotion, or any improvement in income could ever compensate for. The word Mottainai carries something inside it that no English translation fully captures. It is not just what a pity. It is a recognition that something of value is being lost. And that recognition, when applied to money, creates a kind of quiet, dignified financial discipline that no external rule can replicate because it comes from inside. From a genuine understanding that your money represents your time, your effort, your life, and life more than anything else should not be wasted. This is the wealth that Co built. Not just in her ceramic jar, not just in her savings account, but in the way she saw every coin that passed through her hands with respect, with intention, with Mottainai. And that is the kind of wealth that no emergency can take away, because it lives not in a number but in a practice. A practice that begins the moment you decide that what you have already earned is worth protecting. Start with the waste audit this week. 20 minutes last month's purchases. One honest word beside each one. That is all. The number you see will tell you everything you need to know about where your financial life can change. If this story shifted something in how you see your money today, subscribe. Every week I share one Japanese wisdom story that most people never hear. Hit the bell so you never miss one. Tell me in the comments. What is one thing you spend money on every month that you know, if you are honest, is wasted? I read every comment. And if you want to go deeper, watch this video next. It reveals the Japanese savings system that helped ordinary families save half their salary without feeling like they were sacrificing anything. The link is on your screen right